and welcome back to Just Code It. Today we're going to continue with Pydantic and create our models for our blog. These models are going to be used with our FastAPI application to interact with the database and also with the requests. We're going to split these models into three main sections. We're going to have request models for input validation, base models for responses, and then response models as well, but they're ones that have relationships, so basically nestled models. I just opened up this interactive, it's basically like a Jupyter Notebook interactive session. Here we can clear it all, and you can just hit Shift Enter to run the cell, and we'll expand it so you can see everything. The first model we're going to do, how I was thinking about creating the data structure for the blog application, is we're going to have three main models, but there's going to be more when we start introducing the request models and base models. But to start out, we're going to have three primary models. We're going to have a user-based model, a post-based model, and a comment model. We're actually going to flip this around a little bit, and I say we do the base model first. There, perfect. First model we're going to create is the user model. So this is the user profile, what's going to be in that user profile when it's created. We're going to use this model config and set from attributes equal to true. What from attributes actually does is it allows you to populate fields from object attributes, which is useful when using ORMs, which we're going to be doing in FastAPI later on. It's a little explainer. If we go down, we then have the attribute ID, which inherits the type from UID, and then username, which is a string, email, which is the Pydantic email string, full name, which is a string, bio, which is optional and a string with the default to none. Then we have created at, which is type date time, and then updated at, which is a optional date time. Finally, we have is active, which is a Boolean because we don't have any other Booleans yet. So that is it for the base user model. So like the user account, basically. If we just want to run this, we can do this here and just see what it looks like. So that is the object we get back after creating one of these. After user model, we're going to use a post model. So this is the model that's going to hold all the information about each blog post. Again, we're going to use the model config from attributes equal to true. We're going to set another ID, title as string, content as string, created at as a date time, updated at as a date time optional, published, which is a Boolean, and then author ID, which is going to be the ID from the base user or user base class. Again, we're just going to print this out so we can see what it looks like. It looks like we have a depreciation warning, so I'm going to make some changes real quick. So we're going to do this date time now equals date time now and then time zone UTC. And you got to import time zone from date time. And then this should get rid of that. Oh, wait, we did not import date time. Let's just clear everything. All right, yep, that works better now. And that's for the created at and the created at for the user and post. The final base model that we have is the comment model. Again, using that model config, going to create an ID, a comment as a string, a created at, and then at as optional date time, and then author and post ID are going to be in there as well. To create one of these, do what we've been doing, create an object the good old fashioned way, and then just print it using Pretty Print. Yep, looks like that works. We're going to use the request model. So these are used for input validation. So this is where we're going to use field a lot to basically specify what the min, max, all of that fun stuff is. We might add some more as we move on, but for now, we're just going to do some pretty simple validations. So for the user create class, we're going to have the username, which is a string, and then the field is mandatory, the minimum length of 3 and a maximum length of 50. Email just stays the same. Full name is a string, mandatory. Min is 1, max is 100. Bio None is its default value. And then password, we're actually going to change password. We don't have it in the base class. Oh yeah, we want to. So one of the great things about using this create class is for the response class or the base class, you aren't responding with your password. If you go up to the top and go to Pydantic, and we're going to import secret string, and then we're going to use that down here. So the password is going to be secret string. So what the secret string does is it basically just doesn't let you unaccidentally show it, or it's just used for passwords. So if we create one and run it, we got to import that, rerun that, and then come down here to the bottom and rerun this. And you can see the secret string basically blocks out everything if you do accidentally return it, and then everything else is the same. Now we're going to do the post create class, which is going to create a new post. We're going to have a title, which is mandatory, minimum length 1, maximum length 200, content string, mandatory, minimum length 1, and published, which is a Boolean, and it starts as false. Again, we're just going to create one of these. You don't have to write all these down. I'm just creating them so you can see what it looks like. And then finally, for this one, we just have comment or create comment class. Oh, I forgot to mention, these ones do not use the model config. So for the comment or the comment create class, we are going to start with the comment, which is a string. It's a mandatory string with a minimum value of 1 and a maximum value of 1,000. Then we're just going to skip over creating an example one of those. We're now going to move on to the response models, which are basically nestled models inheriting from other models. We're going to start out with the comment model, which is a class called comment, and it inherits from comment base. It also just has one new, which is a type user base. Now, if we create one of these, we can take the comment base model dump, which if we print this out, we can see what that looks like. So it's basically that object we created up here, but we're just going to take that JSON and put it straight into the comment class to create the comment base. And then the author is from the author base, which is created up there. And you'll see here, it inherits a bunch of values from comment and author. As you have the author ID, the created at, post ID. And this is all just due through inheritance and using these two classes basically to construct the comment. Now, after comment, we're just going to do post. The post is going to be inheriting from post base, and it's going to also have a user base as the author, and comments, it will be a list of comments starting with an empty list. Let's go up here and create one comment. Okay, cool. So now we have a comment. Like I was saying, so we have a post inherits from post base, which basically means it gets all the attributes from there. We're going to add an author with a user base, a comment or comments, which is a list of comment, and then have it set to an empty list. To create one of these, we're going to use this post-based dump model, which if you print this out, you'll see this is what we're using to create that post. So all the information about the post, and then we're also going to attach the author base to it and then the comments to it. So when we print this out, you can see we get everything from the author, which starts with that author variable. So we can just select down all the author information, or we can select down on all the comments within that author. Scroll here. Yeah, it's just to add another comment in there. After creating that, we can start peeking around in this just real quick. So if you want to do post.author.bio, you can see he's a Python developer. This is the nice thing about having them nestled. So everything for the author is going to be in that author class because it inherits everything from the author object. It just makes it better organized JSON. The final class we're going to create is the user class, which inherits from, you can probably guess, UserBase, and it has two defined attributes, which are posts, which are a list of posts, and then as a default value of an empty list, and comments, which is a list of comment as an empty list. Now, if we create one of these, we're going to unpack the user object using the double star user base, dump the model. We're going to define one post, two comments, and we're just going to print it out. Here you can see that. Let's create another one and just peek around in the object a little bit. So if we do user posts, we can get back all the posts for that user, or we can use user comments. And then within here, we can get the post ID for that comment and things like that. So we could then use that to relate back, matching on these post IDs. But moving on, we're just going to kind of finally put everything together and create a new user and then simulate the creation of a user response. First, we're going to create a user. So we're just going to create a user, test example.com, blah, blah, blah. Then we're just going to print model dump. So here we created that new user. Let's use pretty print. So have the new user. Now we're going to simulate a user creation response, which is basically just going to get back more data, but excluding the password and things we don't want them to have access to. Then model dump. We run that. That's what we would be getting back from an API response. Finally, we're just going to put it all together, and this is what we would get back if we wanted a full user response, where we're going to take that user response and throw it into there and unpack it, and then get all the posts, all the comments, and this would create a full user, which is what we just created above. But there we have a full user with comments and posts. That is it for this video on creating our model that we're going to be using going forward to create this blog application. If you have any questions, leave comments down below, or if you would like to see me make a video on something else, feel free to comment. I might make some changes to this. I'll leave my GitHub link down below so you can get the most up-to-date model file. That is it. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.